So this is take 2 of Rewind the Movies revisits Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, because Evan, our IT guru, can't sort his computer out. So he's never been our. Go on.
I turned it off and back on, and it didn't work.
You Googled it first, though, what to do.
I did. Well, I did, yeah, and it just said turn it off and back on, and I did that. It didn't work, so I'm resigning tomorrow.
Yeah. We're down a man as well. Adam isn't with us. For those who don't know, Adam is a keen plane spotter, and he's at Cardiff Airport watching all the planes come in. So something along those lines. I don't know. Wow. Yeah, who knows? Right. So Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade is take 2, as we said, because we had some technical issues, and I think we more or less we may as well start again. Because no one else would have heard what we said. So, and I'll jump straight in from a memory point of view. And this is the first film that we've done, I suppose, our first series of films that we've almost completed. Yes, there's number 4, but I don't know if we'll ever do that film. You know, the first 3 were in our sort of childhood. So we've done Raiders, we've done Temple of Doom, and now we're doing Last Crusade. And this is the one out of the trilogy for me that I probably watched the least. I don't know why. I it's just one of those films. Yeah, because I watched so much of Temple of Doom, I have so many memories of that. But that's not to say I did watch it, and I did really, really enjoy this film. Prog, what about your memories?
So this was one of my favorite films growing up. I probably watched this nearly as many. I think I said I watched this more times than I watched Raiders of the Lost Ark, and I think that's because I had this one on VHS first, and mainly it's probably because of that. But I genuinely do think this is a better film. But that's probably why I always thought Temple of Doom was the worst of the 3. And when I say worst, I don't mean it like Temple of Doom's a bad film. I just think Temple of Doom it doesn't have the same charm or charisma that Raiders and Last Crusade does, I don't think. But this was one of my favorites growing up.
Well, and going off that point, I think you had the first film, which it had humor in it, but it was, I think, a relatively, I was going to say a straight film. It's not straight, but there was some humor in it. Then they went to Temple of Doom, and I think had a lot more suspense. I'm not going to say horror, but definitely had an element of suspense.
I think you could say there's horror elements in that film, in Temple of Doom, definitely.
Yeah, and then this film was a bit of a return back to the Indiana Jones I think we saw glimpses of in the first film. And then dialed up a little bit more with the humor, and then brought in Sean Connery, which then raised, I think, the quips and the humor, or elevated it, I should say, even more. So what about you, Ev? What about your memories of it?
Yeah, I think this and Temple of Doom were probably the most watched out of the 3, and I always remember this being a Christmas film. Every year this was on, whether it be Boxing Day or Christmas Day or BBC One. It was always on, I think, when I was a kid. And I think it's almost on par with Temple of Doom for me. I think certainly of the first 3. I don't count the 4th one because that's balls, to be honest.
Should we just tell the listening audience what Evan said when we tried to record this originally? And that's Raiders of the Lost Ark was the worst of the 3.
Well, I didn't say the worst. I just said it was my least favorite. I do like it, but it's not as good as Temple of Doom or Last Crusade for me.
How dare you?
And in Evan's defense, and I think we've discussed this previously, it comes back to what you watched more of, and me and Evan both watched more of Temple of Doom. And I really understand where Prog's coming from, that it's the least favorite of the trilogy for him. but for me, because I watched so much of it, it's one of those ones you just quote. It's like any sort of 80s film or any film you watched as a kid, and you just end up quoting it because you've seen it bloody hundreds upon hundreds of times. But it is. With this particular film as well, the element, and we're going sort of into aspects now, but I do love that Sean Connery relationship as well. And whereas I think in the previous two films, it was more of an emphasis on Indiana Jones and a female character as sort of the first lead, if that makes any sense. And I do know there's what's the name of the female character? Is it
Elsa?
Elsa Schreider, is it, or something like that?
Elsa Schneider.
Yeah. She is in it, but this is the first time that I suppose pitted him with his dad as well. And that's probably like the second half of the film, I know. But it's it's a great addition, I think, to the film.
Can we just take a moment to recognise what Prog said there?
No, I missed that one.
Describing Elsa Schneider. Go on, Prog.
I said she's the jackpot. She's the only woman from an 80s film that can rival Jennifer Connelly for me. Alison Doody, Appreciation Society, ADAS.
I don't recognise her. So what else has she been in? Anyone got her filmography up?
Oh, now you mention it.
Do you remember the Bond film we did?
She was in Live and Let Die.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, not Live and Let Die. For your no. What was it? For Your Eyes Only?
Okay.
View to a Kill.
View to a Kill. We did. She was in that, was she?
Mm.
But she is love interest.
She was in Major League 2.
I love Major League 2.
Yeah.
You need to go back and watch that.
She hasn't been in a lot of films, in fairness. She's done like some TV and I think stage plays and stuff, but
obviously in this film she plays a German or Austrian, right? Yeah. Has she got an Austrian / German / European accent
in the film?
No, in life, in real life.
She's Irish.
Oh, right.
So yes, she has a European accent.
Yeah, exactly. Only because, and I'll mention it now in one of my changes, she does sound a little bit Vicky Michelle from A Lower Low at times.
Yeah, but she was a banger as well, wasn't she?
Well, for an 80s sort of sitcom, yeah. Oh, Renee!
Don't diss A Lower Low now.
I love A Lower Low. Rachel hates it. I don't know if you're flicking through the channels on a Sunday or what have you. And, well, this was pre-kids. And, Sunday afternoon, I'd be like on, I don't know, what would it be? Not Dave, but maybe
UK Gold.
UK Gold, yeah. And then A Lower Low come on, and she'd be like, "No, please don't, please." And I'd be like, "Come on, already."
You stupid woman.
I am comforting her.
Some of the humor, if you look back at it, isn't good, but it's
it's not.
It is. I do find it quite funny.
Oh, who cares, man? It's of his time, innit?
Of his time, and it's what you enjoy, isn't it? It's every now and again. I watch a Bullseye as well. And I tell you what,
that show depresses the shit out of me.
But some of the questions are so bloody hard. It's like playing Trivial Pursuit, but a version from like the 70s or 80s. You can't answer them.
As long as you're not watching the episode with the serial killer on, then you're all right now.
What? Serial killer and Bullseye?
There's an episode where the guy who got found out as a serial killer later on.
He was someone quite recently as well, wasn't it? Yeah, I thought it was.
I thought for a minute you were going to say like Tony Green, just like started like tearing up the place.
Capital D.
He's like, no, yeah, capital D. I love that show. I love it.
I couldn't handle Bullseye, genuinely. It was one of those shows I just couldn't watch.
Oh, loved it. It was just sort of the forced humor that came out.
It was just like all I remember from Bullseye is old people and different shades of brown.
But those old people, they were probably like in their late 20s, early 30s. They just
Yeah.
like.
But it's what we've said for years. People in the 80s looked so much older than what they actually were.
Yeah,
With
yeah,
the
definitely.
pastels and the tashes.
Hmm.
That's yeah.
Porn tashes and
Yeah.
braces. Remember braces? And I'm not talking about the ones that go on your teeth.
Get off his be like hipster talk now. Braces, bow tie, handlebar. Mm.
When was the last time you saw someone wearing a bow tie with a suit?
Probably a wedding. Must be a wedding.
No, I'll tell you when. The 80s.
All right. What are the favourite aspects of People Got? I mentioned sort of Connery and.
It's got to be the relationship between Connery and Ford, because what it allowed, apart from the comedy aspect, which I think there is so much humour in this film compared to definitely the second one, and I would also say there's a lot more than the first one as well. But what it allows you is a different aspect to the Indiana character.
Yeah.
And I remember I was reading about it, reading about the film and the background to it, and Sean Connery said something that whatever the reason he took the role is, he said to either Spielberg or Lucas, he said, whatever Indiana's done, my character did it first. So there's always that. So then Harrison Ford playing Indiana Jones has always got this thing where he's got to sort of like try and get to the level his father once was at. And I think you see that in the film. You see that in the film as well, don't you? Because the scene with where they get out of the blimp and the planes are trying to get them down on the beach, and Henry uses his umbrella to make the birds fly into the plane, and Indiana Jones is looking at his father with that awe, isn't he?
And also, she talks in her sleep.
Oh,
well,
that's one of the great lines in films, that is.
Yeah. And that line wasn't in the script.
It was improvised.
Improvised as a bit of a joke on set one day, and then Spielberg decided to keep it in.
Yeah.
So
apparently they were doing a take, and Connery just said the line, and everyone just started laughing.
Yeah.
So they said, right, we're going to keep that in.
Yeah, no, it's great. Another favorite aspect for me, it was they obviously brought back Salah and Marcus.
Yeah. Give it a real feel of the first film again, wasn't it?
Yeah. And I love Salah anyway.
Because you boys are a fan of the second film, do you think there was any way they could have got short round in this one?
How many years later was this? 4?
Well,
no.
Are you in terms of filming, or are you in terms of where the story's set?
Because Temple of Doom is a prequel, isn't it, to Raiders? Yeah. And okay. So what I was thinking is, how many years later was the release of the film? I think it was either 84 or 86. Temple of Doom came out. 84 it might have been, right? So this would have been 5 years later.
Yeah.
So he would have been, I don't know, possibly 15. I don't know. How old is he? The guy who plays Data in the film in Temple of Doom. I don't know. Maybe he's like 10.
How old is he now?
No, how old is he? How old would he have been 5 years later? So what I'm saying is, if they brought him in, it would have had to match the timeline, wouldn't it?
Right. Well, in Temple of Doom, what's his name? Ke-Huy Quan. He was 13 when when Temple of Doom was released. So when they were doing Last Crusade, he would have been 18 or 17 or 18.
Yeah, but it's just whether it works all out. I don't know.
But Temple of Doom was obviously, it was like 3 or 4 years prior. So I think it's 1935 Temple of Doom is set.
And what's this? 1939?
1938, 39. So I think you could have got away
with it. Yeah. Yes.
See, I didn't realise that Temple of Doom was a prequel.
Yeah.
Didn't realise at all.
Did you not, were you not on the podcast when we did? I think we mentioned it then. But to be honest,
No,
though,
no.
I'm with you in the sense of I don't remember half the stuff we talk about on our podcast. Have you got any other favourite aspects?
I have got one more, but I'll let Evan go first.
No, go on. You go.
Give him time to think.
The music. Yeah. I'm going to say this now. I think this is the better score overall than the first film.
John Williams again, is it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah, I was going to say.
But what I like is the additional music motifs that he's put into this film. So there's a lot of the first film that's put back, obviously the main theme and a few of the action motifs. But I like the additional sort of, there's a motif when he's talking about his father or with his father. And then there's also an additional music motif when he's finding information, like when he finds the knight underneath the museum. And for me, I really appreciate those additional motifs on top of what was already a really good score from the first one.
Mm-hmm.
I love John Williams also.
Well, I think we're all fans of John Williams on this show.
Yeah.
Ev, have you got anything?
Yeah, I think the cast as a whole, not just the relationship between Harrison Ford and Sean Connery, but no, I'm not going to go through them.
Go on, Ev. Go on, Ev.
I am. No,
you
no,
are. No.
I'm going to now. I'm going to now. Just for that look. No, I think the relationship as well between Henry and Marcus, I think is quite good. That it's like they're old college mates, and doing like the weird handshake thing and all that lot in the tank and everything. Yeah, and you almost like seen like Marcus as almost like an uncle sort of thing. That he's when Indy tells him to tell Donovan about taking the plane ticket, he says, "Oh, I'll tell him we'll take two." And it's just little touches like that I quite like. Like that. Everyone knows he's a bit ditzy and a bit thing, but he's
still looking out for him, isn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, and also I'm going to run through my cast now. Julian Glover, who plays Walter Donovan. He was I forgot his name. He was in Game of Thrones anyway. My grandmate Pycelle, I think his name was. Pycelle, that's him. River Phoenix.
He's in Empire Strikes Back as well.
He is.
Yes. River Phoenix is young Indy. That was a good turn.
If only he'd lived. Because I think would have had quite a few more Indy films if he had lived.
Well, do you think
do you think he'd be bigger than his brother right now?
Well, yeah, I think he was the biggest child or adolescent actor at the time, wasn't he? He was massive.
He was huge. I just wonder whether he would have like a lot of child actors do. They sort of like hit a point, maybe they hit their 20s and then they just either go off the rails or they.
Well,
Corey Feldman being a really good example.
Yeah, that's true. But I think River Phoenix was a better. I like Corey Feldman, but I think River Phoenix overall was a better actor. The sad thing is, and I don't think we should go into this too much, but there is a chance that if River Phoenix had lived, Joaquin Phoenix wouldn't have had the career he's had. Because there's every chance that River Phoenix would have taken a lot of those roles.
Yeah.
But back in the day, he was going under the stage name of Leaf, wasn't he? Leaf Phoenix.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I'll keep going. Pat Roach, obviously. Pat Roach, he's like the Indiana Jones, John Ratzenberger in every film.
When did Pat Roach die?
What, in real life?
In real life, yeah. I gotta Google it. Only because he must have died before the
He did.
The last
2004.
one. Oh yeah, he would have. And when did the last one came out? Maybe about 10 years ago, was it?
Also, the guy in Raiders of the Lost Ark who played, is his name Tot or Tote? You know, the main Nazi guy who gets melted. He's in this. Apparently, as a Gestapo agent, he's uncredited.
What you like in the background?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, he's according to IMDb, he's uncredited Gestapo.
All right.
And also, no, go on.
Oh no, he cameos as Heinrich Himmler. So I think it's in the scene with where Adolf Hitler, you know, where they burn in the box. I think he's a cameo there.
Oh, okay. Speaking of which, Mr. Bronson from Grange Hill, Adolf.
Which I'm not going to act surprised and pretend I didn't know because we did it when we recorded the last one. But yeah, that was a massive shock to me. I was just like, oh, I recognize that guy. Who is he? And then you said on the podcast, it's Mr. Bronson.
Yeah. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah.
I can't think of Grange Hill without that opening title. Or, you know, like the sausage coming in with a fork stuck in it on the cartoon. Like a comic. Yeah.
You got to think, right? If we ever do a film and when it comes to favourite aspects, Evan doesn't reel off the cast, you got to worry what his actual thoughts about the acting was in that film then, haven't you?
Yeah, they're all rubbish. They don't even get a mention. Terrible.
Let's move on to favourite scene. And I'm going to start with... and it changes, I think, every time I see it. And I could pick anything from where Indiana Jones and Henry Jones interact. But I'm going to pick the young Indiana Jones sequence this time. I watched it this time round, and I just thought it was a nice addition in the sense of adding a bit of world building to Indiana Jones. And you could say it's corny. You know, because one, they say about where he got his scar from, and that's ultimately, you know, it's Harrison Ford's scar, so they put that into the storyline. You could say it's corny around him taking on the sort of look of that Tomb Raider guy, let's call him that. But yeah, I just thought it was fun and it was humorous, and I just found it entertaining. So yeah, for this time round, I'm going to pick that. And again, we've mentioned River Phoenix is good.
In fairness to that scene, if you look beyond the surface level aspects that you just pointed out about the look of Indiana later on and the hat and the chin scar, what it actually shows is Indiana's character, his desire and application and perseverance to get these artifacts and make sure they're not in the wrong hands. Yeah, as he sees it.
Yeah, belongs in a museum. That sort of.
Yeah, and it happens from a very early age.
And I hadn't really thought about this previously, but he does have two personas, so to speak, doesn't he? And you do see him looking different. So he has his professor sort of persona, and he's there in his suit and his, you know, and or whatever he wears. And then he has his, let's call it his Tomb Raider persona, where he puts on the hat, he puts on the jacket, and he has the whip. So,
do you know what I was thinking watching this time around is how bad a teacher he is.
Never marks his stuff, and
he never graded those kids. He's obviously just come back from disappearing for about 2 weeks trying to find this cross. And they're all waiting for him to see him one by one, and he just ducks out the window. He's like,
and his office is a shop. His office is a shambles as well. He's in with a boiler in it.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's like a boiler room, isn't it? And just artifacts all around him. Okay, what other scenes have people got?
Honestly, I could pick so many. There's not many. What's the word? Spots in this film where I was drifting away or bored or anything like that. But I think my favorite part this time was the escape from the blimp to when Henry Jones Sr. uses the umbrella on the beach. I love all of that because you get the interplay between the two characters. It's obviously good action as well. I love some of the dialogue, like when Henry is saying they're trying to kill us, and Indiana just goes, "I know, Dad. It happens to me all the time."
Well, they brought in a script writer for that, didn't they? The dialogue between the two. But what's his name? Is it Tom Stoppard or something? You may know his name. I've got it somewhere in my notes as well. But I think they brought in a playwright, and it was Tom Stoppard to beef up that dialogue between those two characters.
Yeah, well, yeah, Tom Stoppard is a playwright, yeah.
And I'm pretty sure he has a writing credit as well against the film.
Right, okay. I wasn't aware of that, but it would make sense.
But I know what I love about the sequence you've just said, that the bit where he throws out the Nazi out of the blimp and he's like, "No ticket" or whatever, and everyone's like, "Whoa!"
Yeah. But what you also find as well, though, is that when they run into the mini plane on the blimp.
Yeah.
When they run into the mini plane just after the blimp has turned round, it's a throwaway line. But Indiana says to his father, "I thought it would take them longer to realize the radio wasn't working." So while Indiana was dressed as the waiter, he'd obviously gone to disable the radio.
I wonder if I wonder if there's a deleted scene where that would have incorporated it. Ev, what have you got, buddy?
Like Prog, I can pick a number of scenes on this, but I think this time I'm probably going to go with from when they enter the castle to when they escape on the motorbike, because I think that it's the part of when he meets his dad and he finds out about Donovan and everything like that. But like the dynamic of the relationship changes between them both, because like when he gets knocked over the head with a vase, and like he says, "Junior," and like he's like, "Oh yes sir," like he's a kid again. But then halfway through, like it's he looks at his dad because of the line, or she talks in her sleep, like he's he's a real person and not his dad, sort of thing. And then he starts having to go to him and shouting at him and stuff.
I'm with you there, Ev. You just reminded me of something else that I love. I love how underplayed the moments are where Indiana actually looks at Henry like he's his father. And another bit that I loved watching it this time was when they go over, when the tank goes over the cliff.
Oh yeah.
They all think that Indiana's dead. And Henry sees him next to him, and he starts embracing him and saying, "I thought I lost you," and all that.
Yeah.
And Indiana Jones just falls into his arms, and he's like, you can see, like, Harrison Ford is fucking brilliant in these films, but you can see that he's just a kid again. He just wants to be held by his dad. This moment, and it's only like it's for like 30 seconds, that moment, but it does so much within the to help the rest of the film, because when you rewatch it, then you appreciate other moments even more.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. I've got one honourable mention, and it's the scene where he bigs up Marcus. He speaks 12 language. He's blending. He's got 2-day sort of lead on you, and then you see Marcus wandering around asking, "Does anyone speak English?" He gets bundled into the back of a van, and all I can think of is just like a pantomime. That entire scene, and that sort of build up, and then it's total sort of switch.
But also, they what I like about it is that they don't just do that the once by showing Marcus being an idiot, but they also have Indiana say to his father, he got lost in his own museum.
Yeah.
And then before we move on to changes, one question I want to ask at this moment in time: would you freak out more if you were surrounded by snakes or rats, because his fear is snakes, isn't it? When we learn some of that as well at the beginning of this film. But that scene is it the catacombs or whatever under Venice with all those rats, and the rats are freaking out at one point. Oh, I don't know. I think I'd rather snakes than rats.
I would rather rats than snakes, personally. The only reason is you don't know whether the snakes are poisonous or not.
Yeah, I suppose. Ev?
Yeah, I'm the same. I think. Although to be honest, I may go mental at rats as well. Just because I don't like little furry things like that. And I'm saying that I got bullied into getting a hamster. That's I threw a strop and pets at home. Honestly, I threw a strop and said, right, I'm not touching it. Huh?
Are you saying the hamster scares you?
Yeah, he's got big teeth and claws and everything.
I bet you walk in that room and you just think that hamster's staring at you all the time.
No, he stays away. But the worst thing is he comes out at night, and like when we're watching, when we finally get the hour to ourselves to watch like a TV program, all of a sudden he comes out and goes in his bloody wheel, and it's like
to watch a TV program, is it?
He looks through the bars of heaven like that.
Yeah.
It only comes out at night. But it's that scene, you know, when the rats are going ballistic because something is happening. They're trying to climb the wall. I don't know if it's a bit with the fire or what have you.
It's with the fire, yeah.
Oh, that bit freaks me out every time. And I think that's why it made me question, would I have snakes over rats? And I don't know.
Especially because they're on a hair and everything as well. Like they're climbing up a hair and stuff like that. Oh.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah. So the time of the podcast, I don't really want to do for this film because I do think it's a really, really good film, but we often talk about changes. Has anyone got anything glaringly obvious that they want to talk about?
Go on, Prague, you go first.
More Alison Doody. There's not enough of her. What I would have done, right? I would have actually had a picture of her and I would have put it in the corner of the screen so she's in every frame of the film. I reckon that would have been okay, Dad.
I'm gonna have to Google her now and just see.
Just a Photoshop over Sean Connery's face.
Yeah, every character has just got Alison Doody's face photoshopped over it.
Even Donovan who like goes really old. It's just her getting really old.
Yeah. Even the guy that gets old after drinking from the cup, but not the cup of Christ. It's her face as well.
Even as like an older lady, she's like really attractive, isn't she?
She's smoking, but she is like amazing.
So how old is she?
She's 50, late 50s now, I think.
57. She's born in 66. Google says she's about 57. It didn't even give like a proper sort of date of birth about.
If you look on an IMDb thing and click on like you know how it's got the profile pictures. If you any listeners out there, go to a profile, click on a profile picture, and then swipe once, and she's on the cover of this movie poster for a Pierce Brosnan film. I'll see if I can show it to the camera.
No, it doesn't work.
It won't work.
Oh, I can. Yeah, well, just saw that.
Yeah, called Taffin, and the tagline of it is just genius. It says, "He didn't get mad, he got even." And it's like, oh, that's amazing for a tagline. Amazing. Yeah, Taffin, great.
Incredible woman, man.
So what other changes? Go on, Ev, you said you had one.
Have you got another one, Prague? Go on.
I did have a genuine one. Yeah. So I did find it a little inconsistent with the what are the guys called that are chasing them out to the catacombs?
Oh, the ones who are sort of protecting the ark.
The Brotherhood of the Cruciform Sword.
Yeah, I found that plot line a little inconsistent. Thankfully, they weren't in the film too much, but the fact that they were trying to kill Indiana Jones to begin with, and then all he says is, all I want to do is find my father," and they're like, "Oh, all right then."
Bye.
Yeah.
It got me thinking that there's a film that copies that, rips it off massively, and that's The Mummy. You know,
Yes.
that aspect of, there's a secret society trying to protect something, and then they end up helping them.
Yeah.
And they even look like them, actually. Without that, hopefully that doesn't seem racist.
I don't mind that aspect of the story as long as it's dealt with more consistently, I suppose. But I suppose I wonder whether it was written into the script when they got to the desert and they realized we need a way for Indiana Jones to get his father back.
Yeah.
Or to get Marcus back. So they were like, can we like retro write in this group of protectors, and then because they're not in the film that much, are they? They're in like 2 parts of it.
It does seem a bit weak, doesn't it? That they could have added probably a lot more to that element.
Anyway, sorry, I've gone.
No, I was just going to say, don't you? I had sort of a thought, and I googled it now. Don't you think a cousin, the main guy, obviously with the curly hair and the tash, looks like Graham Souness from his playing days?
Just saying because of his curly hair.
Yeah, no, curly. Honestly, Google him, and when he's playing for Liverpool or Rangers, he is the spit of the leader of the Brotherhood of the Cruciform Sword.
Don't forget Sampdoria, but he played for Sampdoria as well.
Any continent, anytime, he looks like cousin. No, I've got a couple of changes. I'll go through the minor ones first. The change in Sean Connery's accent, that most of the time he sounds Scottish, but like there's a couple of scenes in where he puts like his accent just goes American. Like
is it the Hunt for Red October syndrome?
But I didn't see any inconsistency with his accent because he's written as a Scottish guy, isn't he?
Yeah, like I said, it's not a big thing, but it's just like certain things, like when he's talking, it comes out like a little bit of an American twang, like saying they got us, like when the plane gets shot down and stuff like that, and I just found it really funny.
Maybe just been in LA too long.
Yeah, the Spanish,
well,
the
Spanish
Egyptian Scottish.
Maybe he was actually being true to the character because Henry had been living in America for a few years by that point.
Good point. Yeah, good point. Yeah. And the same with Alison Doody. She goes a bit like proper full on Austrian German when they're in the boat, where she says, "You say go between them," but then like the rest of the time she doesn't really.
Yeah, when she's shouting, she hasn't got an accent.
No.
Yeah.
It's the whole Vicky Michelle, isn't it? Or whatever her name is.
Stop slandering Alison Doody, boys. God.
But oh, go on, Ed. Go on.
I was going to say, every time I hear her name now, I just can't get past the last name is Doody. But yeah, it's just the immature person in me.
Well, her last name wouldn't have been Doody if she met me.
You never know. She's only 15 years older than us.
Yeah, it's true.
My main one though, and this is the thing I'll never get about the film, when they're escaping the castle and they go into, they hide in the big box on the motorbike. Why don't they wait for a longer period of time until all the Nazis are in the boat halfway down the river, and then they come out going, "Oh yeah."
Do you know why? Do you know why?
Go on then.
Because film. Because film needs chase scene. That's why.
But they had a big, massive chase scene with the bloody tank and the horses or the camels.
Yeah.
He said, "No camels."
In real life, chase scenes don't happen at all, do they?
No.
Very rarely.
Someone drives off in a car and the other person goes, "Oh, I can't be bothered."
So I have two changes I want to talk about. The first one is a bit of like a humorous one, I suppose. And that is, when the Joneses are tied together in the castle, they're back to back on chairs, there's rope around them. Why didn't they just lift the rope up? Because that's what they end up doing at the end. Indiana Jones gets his hands out, I think it's him who goes out first, and then he lifts the ropes up anyway. If he just done that in the first place.
Yeah, but I think their hands are tied in front of them and they're actually like roped around under the chair. So I think it's meant to be that their hands are there and they can't move their hands up or across.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give them that much, but I just sort of like, if they'd done this with their elbows, they would have just lifted it up anyway.
Yeah.
So, but my main change, and it's a difficult one to talk about because we often talk about this where something is of its time, and this is the special effects of the plane going into the tunnel.
Yeah.
So it goes into the tunnel, the two wings come off, and you can just see it's quite dated. It hasn't worked, or hasn't worked to modern standards.
Yeah, but it's only a couple of frames, isn't it? Because where the plane's going past them in the car.
That bit's fine for me.
Yeah.
It's the bit before.
Yeah, I got you, yeah.
Because that bit is more practical effects, whereas you can see the other one is, it's obviously not CGI because it's pre-CGI, but it's,
Or is it really early CGI?
Yeah, maybe. Late 80s, early 90s, yeah.
Because they were starting to do that layered CGI stuff, weren't they?
Yeah. And like I said, it's a change, but it's only if you were, I don't know, if you say you wanted to bring out a bloody 4K version of it and you were able to just smarten that bit up. That's the only bit I would want to change, really.
Going back to what you were saying about the scene where they're tied to the chair, watch it back again, and when he gets the lighter out of his pocket and he tries to tries to burn the ropes, he blatantly throws that away. It's not as if it's a case of, I dropped it. It's like,
he burnt himself. That's what it was.
He burned his hand.
Yeah,
he burned his finger.
Yeah, but I get that, but
right. I tell you,
have you got a lighter? Your finger, you go right, and then
you got a lighter in your house, Sev.
Yeah, go and get it. I'll try it.
Try it right now on camera.
No, you're right. No, but it's I don't know. It's just the reaction that if he burns his fingers, you immediately drop it, don't you? Whereas he just went but
it's a reflex thing, isn't it? What I tell you, what's more improbable is how fast our room goes up.
I've got a wood burning stove right in the house, and I tell you what, it takes me bloody ages to light it, and then fire in films, it's just like everything seems to be combustible.
Yeah.
All the tapestries are flammable.
I've just realized it's not a change, it's an observation that I thought, and I didn't know where to put it, so I'll say it now. The night in the whatever the room is called with all the different cups, being there for 2,000 years,
hundreds of years.
Hundreds of years, yeah, because it wasn't when Christ died, was it?
1200 AD, I think he went there.
Yeah, me, he must be bored. He's only got one book. How many times has he read that book?
I want to know, right? If he ever took a stroll outside.
Where's he got the toilet as well?
Yeah.
There wasn't another room there.
Oh no, he's over the cliff probably, and he just drops him, bends over the cliff.
But bloody he must have been bored. The one that he died at the end, he was just like, for that. Someone's come along.
Yeah, but he didn't die.
Didn't he?
No, he stayed there.
You see him and he's like lurking at the end.
Yeah, he waves at Henry.
Like the wedding singer. Do you know where he goes? He's gone mad and I'm reaping all the benefits. Oh, he's losing his mind and I'm reaping all the benefits. That's what he's like in the distance.
I got a question for you two. And it's about the ending where, what's his name? Sorry. Walter drinks from the cup, right?
Yeah.
So I take it there's only one cup there that's made from wood. Right?
Yeah.
So Walter is obviously not a very good historian. Okay. But watching it this time, I wondered whether Elsa deliberately gave him the wrong cup. Because he shot Henry and Elsa didn't want that to happen, she then gets into the room with the cups with Walter and Indiana, and she says, "Let me choose for you." And he says, "Okay." She gives him like one of the diamond encrusted cups, and he drinks from it. And as he's drinking from it, she looks at Indiana Jones. And then after Walter dies, she then says, the cup would not be made from gold.
Yeah.
So
It's good. It's a good point, I think.
So that makes me think, well, I don't know if it was deliberate or not. Perhaps it wasn't. Perhaps I'm just over egging it, but it did make me think maybe like her character had changed her mind about what was to happen.
Well, yeah, she does say as well that, you know, she is a historian herself, isn't she? And she's, I don't know, seeking out the truth or whatever she says earlier on in the film. But maybe it is written in a way that it's left to you then to interpret whether you believe she's good or bad. Or
then that's a massive mistake on Donovan's part, though. I mean, that's a life and death choice there. But you know, why would you give it to someone else? It's just,
but I would have drunk from any cup Alison Doody would have given me.
Even 2 girls, 1 cup.
I would have done that as well if it was Alison Doody.
Remind me,
that is not a cup made from gold.
what does drinking from the cup actually get you?
Right. Okay. So I took it right that if you look at the knight, he's been there for 700 to 800 years, and we've just joked that he didn't have any food or anything with him. So I wonder whether that drinking from that water with that cup provided you both nourishment and everlasting life.
Yeah, mate, yeah.
But then on the flip side of that, though, he says the cup can't pass beyond the Great Seal. That's the price of immortality. So
yeah, but it's
she
just
takes it.
That's just the cup that can't pass there. Because if you, in the beginning of the film, when Walter is talking to Indiana Jones about the tablet before he goes to Vienna, no, not Vienna, yeah,
Rome, no, Venice,
sorry, yeah. They actually talk about one of the 3 knights who returned and died eventually of like ridiculous old age. So it's implied that all 3 knights, the 2 brothers that left the one knight behind, they left and returned home, and both died really, really old because they had drunk from the cup.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I was just thinking maybe because the cup had gone past the seal, all of its powers on Henry and Indiana would have just gone instantly.
Right. If that was the case, then Henry's wound probably would have returned.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about this, right? And why they didn't get me involved in the writing for the new Indiana Jones film, I'll never know. But if you want a reason for Indiana Jones to still in this new, because this new film is set in the 60s, I think. If you want a reason for why Indiana Jones is still performing all these stunts and still going, it's because he drank from the cup of Christ in the 3rd film. All they've got to do is put that in the first couple of minutes of the film, or seed that into the film somehow, and I'll buy it. I'll buy why he's an older man still doing all this stuff.
Well, I didn't know that. 69 is set.
Yeah, it's set with a space race, isn't it?
Last Crusade, 38. Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, 57. And this is, 69. Wow. Okay.
And also, since we originally tried to record this podcast, I have actually watched the first hour of Crystal Skull again because it was on TV.
So we had this conversation, and I said in the last recording that it's not for me. And you asked me a question. I mentioned it. The reason I didn't like it was because of the alien aspect at the end, and I can't remember what question you asked me. That if it didn't have aliens, would I? Oh no, if it had been something else, I can't. What was the question?
No. I said to you, when you actually line up everything, like the focal point of the plots. Number one, you got this magical arc. Number two, you've got magic stones. Number three, you've got the cup of Christ that gives eternal life. And number four, you've got aliens, right? And I said, no, I didn't say it like this, but I'm going to put it this way now. Out of the four of them, right, which one's more believable right now?
I know what you mean. And I think I counted back saying, because religion is so ingrained
Prominent.
and prominent and thing in everyday life, regardless of whether you're religious or not, the artifacts there. But there's still a like supernatural element to it as well. And I think this is where we had a conversation about the script for Last Crusade went through a number of different sort of premises of what it could be based on the story.
Yeah, you said Monkey Island as well, in there, something.
No, Indiana Jones and the Monkey King was originally a title, and they would have gone to a castle in Scotland, which is where we thought then, or maybe that's why he's got the Scottish accent in the castle, and maybe there was a hangover from a previous sort of script. But that one, he would have encountered ghosts or ghouls or whatever. And yeah, that's quite interesting as well, because for me, then that's probably a little bit less believable as well. Even though, ironically, there's ghosts at the end of the first film. Yeah, I don't see them as ghosts. I see them as souls. But again, that's like not believable either, is it?
No.
So, I don't know.
When I was rewatching the first hour, there was a reason I only watched an hour, and that's because I had to go somewhere. But when I was rewatching the first hour, I was like, do you know what? This film the first hour is actually okay. There's some good stuff in it. And I realized what I think the problem is with the fourth one, right? Now, yes, I understand if people don't like the alien aspect, I can't change anyone's mind about that, right? The reason I think why I didn't like the fourth one, the first time I watched it, and why I think it still has issues, is because of the special effect aspect. The CGI makes the film look so much different to the first three that it gives it a different feel and different tone.
Yeah, that's a good point. Really good point.
But the first hour of Crystal Skull, there's a lot of like Indiana Jones type stuff in there. So when I was watching it, I was like, I'm actually all right with this film. I think it's okay.
Maybe we need to go back, watch it as a collective.
Yeah.
Right. Couple of things then before we start wrapping up. After the release of the film, where's Petra? Is that in Jordan?
Maybe, yeah, I think so.
Anyway, do you know the front of what's it called? It's Petra anyway, isn't it? They used to only have like a few thousand people each year visit them, and tourism went through the roof after the film.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
it's still going strong now, isn't it?
Oh, I bet it is. Most of the Nazi uniforms that you see in the film were real Nazi uniforms. So the bit in the Berlin rally is that bit.
That's a good bit. That's another good bit of the film as well. Where he comes face to face with Hitler, and Hitler just signs his book.
It's a real subtle bit of humor, which you don't expect. I really like that. And given who the person is and whatever. And also, I don't know if this is true, but Steven Spielberg supposedly joked to all the extras who were Nazis that when they were saluting, that with their other hand to cross their fingers behind their backs. I don't know if that is true or whether the internet is
Yeah.
pulling a fast one on me here, but anyway.
Well, I mean, Spielberg's a Jew, isn't he? So
And it's
I
very
would-
close to his heart, isn't it? Given the
Yeah,
type of
exactly,
films
yeah.
he's done previously. The budget was 48 million, and it returned 474, so almost 10 times his budget.
Boom.
Spielberg, but
Although I don't think it did as well as Temple of Doom. I think Temple of Doom is the highest grossing movie out of that franchise. It's not,
No.
is it?
no. I think this one is Temple of Doom got 330 mil.
Oh, okay.
I'll try and find out what the first one got now. Hang on a minute.
I would have thought this one would have been the highest, considering Connery and off the success of Temple of Doom.
Right. Temple of Doom was the worst. Was worst of the three.
There's my fact at the window.
So the original Lost Ark got 390. Temple of Doom got 330, and then this one got 480.
Mad, isn't it? The amount of money that
That's
franchise.
what's that? That's over $1 billion for 3 films, and they probably spent what 100 million on them combined.
Mad. Here's a question for you. Did any of you ever watch the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles?
I watched a few of the episodes, but I couldn't really get into them.
I did, and a long time ago. And I think I watched them sort of out of order, which then probably made me fall off watching them longer. And then I bought the DVD box set a few years back, and I never got round to watching it. And I sold it. And I was gutted. I've done that.
Was River Phoenix in it?
No,
No.
it was after he passed. I was just going to ask actually. I think I would have, but would you boys have been more interested in it if River Phoenix had played young Indiana?
I don't think so for me. I think I would have had the same sort of level, only because I knew who River Phoenix was at the time. I think if I watched it in later life, probably, but at the time when I was watching it on TV, nah.
Yeah. It's a shame, really, they did that series when they did, because I think if you actually did a young Indiana Jones now, or not now, because the way Disney have been lately, they probably ruin it. But if they'd done a young Indiana Jones 10 years ago, I think it would have done really well.
Well, this is a question, isn't it? Like, where do they go? Because in Dial of Destiny, the new one, I think Harrison Ford has more or less said this is his last Indiana Jones. And he's in his 70s, isn't he? So
He's
not
80.
He's 80s. Come on. He's got to, he's not going to have many more in him, is he? That's for sure. So I think he said this is his last. But as a franchise, where do you go with it?
I just stop.
That's perfectly what I think should happen. But you know what will happen is they'll possibly do young Indiana Jones. They will possibly do a cartoon series or a.
Do you know what I fear? Right, so Phoebe Waller-Bridge is in the new one, right? And she's also been brought in to help with the script writing. I really liked the series that she wrote and starred in, Fleabag.
Yeah.
But I think I worry what they're going to try and do with this new film is they're going to try and market her as the new Indiana Jones, and they're going to sideline Harrison Ford, and then she's just going to take over the franchise. Whereas what I would do, and I don't understand why studios just don't do this full stop, is just say, that's the last, but we're going to do a new franchise of films that are similar, and here's who we're going to put forward as the lead actor or actress. I don't understand why they've got to destroy their old characters, the characters that created the franchise and that fans love. It's my whole thing. This James Bond bullshit where everyone's going, we need a female James Bond. No, you don't. You need if you need a female special agent film, and leave James Bond as it is. Because if you write a good enough film, people aren't going to care if it's a woman special agent. Just go and write a good film with a female special agent. Don't take on James Bond's name and call it Jamie Bond.
I 100% agree with you. And the only comeback I have is it's an established brand, it's an established name, so it's easier to market. That's the only reason that they would reinvent it. And I really hope they don't. I thought, and maybe this is one of the reasons why I switched off with Crystal Skull, is I thought they were going to then take the franchise with what's his son in it? What's his
Shia LaBeouf.
Shia LaBeouf. I thought they were going to take it with him, because all of a sudden he's his son. You know, Indiana is a nickname, isn't it? It's not his real name. So in theory, it's a little bit like the James Bond. There's a theory, isn't there, out there? I think we've discussed this previously, that James Bond is not the person's name; it is a code name.
Yeah, and
So
I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
but it still needs to be a man.
So he, in theory, Shia LaBeouf could have taken his father's nickname and become Indiana Jones.
Yeah,
but I'm sort of glad that they didn't go down that route.
What I don't, sorry, I know we're getting off topic here, but what I don't understand with the studios is, are you honestly telling me there's no good writers out there who can just write a new franchise for women? Are you honestly telling me that? That you actually need the copyright name or the what did you call it? I'm sorry.
Or the pseudonym.
The franchise name or something. You need the franchise name to build off. It's just like, how does anything new get created? You just create it. That's what happens.
And this is the whole issue that I have. And we've talked about this so much, that you're 100% right. Why do you need to have a Ghostbusters with the female leads? You know, why do you need to reboot it? And again, the reason is because they think, there's something already out there in name. We can jump on the bandwagon. We don't need to spend as much money potentially as letting people know what is happening. But there's a lot of
if the last 10 years have proven anything, is that people don't want to see that type of thing.
But like, I don't know who's making these decisions up in the studio, but they're scared and they think
dumb people.
Yeah, they think that they have to have male characters that people understand, and they have to and already know. And it's a lot of bollocks. They don't create something new. You're 100% right.
Yeah, like I know we've spoken about it off camera and recording a lot of times. I am crying out to go to the cinema to watch something new and exciting, or just something new that's good. Just give me something that's good that I haven't seen a character in 20 times before.
Yeah. And again, it comes back down to, when people would have gone to the cinema for the first time to watch Raiders of the Lost Ark, I generally think they would have been like, wow, I want to see more of that. Or Star Wars, for example.
Well, I'll give you a female-led franchise that I would have loved to have gone to the cinema to watch when it first came out, and the second and the third and the fourth film. Aliens.
Yeah.
Ellen Ripley, Sigourney Weaver as Ellen Ripley, is hands down one of the greatest movie characters ever. So you can't tell me that it can't be done with a female-led franchise. That's new, a new franchise that's female-led. You can't tell me that, because she's already done it. You could argue the Terminator franchise is Sarah Connor.
Yeah.
I know Arnie was the draw, but he wasn't the draw in the first film.
No. And people forget that the first film is very different and very sort of dark and noir, or techno-noir, or whatever the correct term is. And it's about Sarah Connor getting away from it. And Arnie it's a sort of bit part, isn't it? Because you don't see much of him.
No, not really.
So, right, okay, let's think about wrapping this one up. Again, I thought we would have talked about this within half an hour, and I think we're on close to an hour here. Final question, would you recommend, Ev?
Yes, 100%.
Frog? Well, I know where we're all going with this.
Absolutely. I got a question as well, though, after this. I would 100% recommend.
Same here. Why wouldn't you? And watching it this time round made me appreciate how such a good film it is, and even swayed me slightly that maybe I'm favouring this one over Temple of Doom.
Oof.
But
Oof.
there's a big but in that, Prog. That
Oh.
means Raiders gets pushed down even further.
Ah, shut up, man.
I don't, but I love them all. I'd put them all at the same level. for me.
Where would you put this one now, Ev? That's what I was going to ask. Did you enjoy this more this time around?
Oh, look at that! We've got all this time, and he's frozen on us. Oh, you back,
yeah.
Ev?
Hello.
Oh, he's back. He's back.
You froze totally, Emery.
Oh.
I
What
thought we've got
did you
all this
say, Ev?
time.
Sorry, go on, Matt.
Gone all this time and now fucks up. No, a close second for me. Still,
Okay.
Temple of Doom is at the top, very close second, and then Raiders just behind.
Fair enough.
Right, let's wrap up. Cheers, all. We well, I don't know. I was going to totally do a new ending then. I don't know where I was going to go with it. But anyway, I'm not doing a new ending. Podcasts come out every week. Check out our social media, and if you want us to do a film in the future, please recommend one. Cheers, all.